So prayer is the first pillar of Islam, and we need to first discuss its importance. That prayer is the most important pillar, and it is one of it constitute one of the five pillar of Islam, and they are a noble form of a divine worship by means of which a Muslim discharges his duty towards Allah Almighty by mentally as well as physically devoting himself to his worship. Performing prayers 5 times a day is an obligatory act of worship, and it is mandatory on every adult Muslim, irrespective of race, ethnicity, nationality, gender, economic status. Okay, it is obligatory on every Muslim, sane, adult. They have to pray 5 times a day, and it was made obligatory on the event of Miraj. Okay, we will discuss also the method of prayer. Okay, we discussed how the Muslims they prepare for the prayer and Friday prayer, Eid prayer. The relevant topics we will discuss in detail. So first of all, the importance of prayer in Islam. Whenever you are writing about the importance of prayer in Islam, you can mention that it was made obligatory before migration. Okay, at the time of the event of Miraj, Allah called Holy Prophet peace be upon him up to the heavens, and then He has blessed him with this great gift. And its importance can be judged from the fact that according to the hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, that the first thing made obligatory on his followers was salat, was prayer, and that on the day of judgment, the first thing that man shall be have to answer and he will be made accountable for is salat, prayer. The Holy Quran has repeatedly instructed Muslims to perform prayer. Okay, establish prayer and pay zakat, establish salat and pay zakat. Okay, repeatedly it has been mentioned in the Quran. Surah number 2, Surah Baqarah. Aqimus salata wa atuz zakat. Establish salat and pay zakat. Fine. So 5 times a day, praying 5 times a day, prayer are the most effective means of affirming and strengthening one's faith and conviction in the existence of Allah Almighty. Through it, we confirm that we are a believer. We confirm that we are obedient to God. It is because this is the only source and only way through which we can express and our faith in Allah Almighty. Salat it reminds a man of his duties as a humble servant of Allah Almighty and makes him duty conscious. Okay, dutiful. That praying 5 times a day, it shows that the person is very much obedient to him and he is very much mindful about his duty. The congregational prayers offered in the mosque 5 times a day, it inculcates the principle of equality, okay, and brotherhood. When the master and slave they stand shoulder to shoulder, they stand side by side without any difference. Okay, it's the recognition of the fact that all humans are equal in the eyes of Allah Almighty, and there is no discrimination on the basis of caste or creed. This is how it is one of the most important prayer, and these are also the benefits of prayer for a Muslim. Some of these benefits are individual, and some of these benefits are communal. So we can understand that the standard of superiority in the eyes of Allah Almighty is piety and taqwa, and that can only be determined by Him. We cannot judge that whether the person is pious or not through his physical appearance, because it is something related to the heart of a person. ठीक है, दिल से रिलेटेड है, दिल के बारे में तो अल्लाह ताला जानते हैं. So regular observance of salat prayer, it inculcates punctuality and it sows the seed of punctuality and discipline in a Muslim. The person becomes punctual, disciplined, because performing prayers 5 times a day according to the prescribed timing, it makes him punctuality in discipline and the punctuality in the person's life. It's a distinguishing feature between a Muslim and a non-Muslim, because because it divides. It's a dividing line between a faith and a disbelief, as per hadith of the Holy Prophet peace upon him. That what stands between a man and disbelief is the abandonment of prayer. What stands between a man and the disbelief is the abandonment of prayer. That the one who abandons his prayer has indeed disbelieved. Okay, that is why its importance can be judged from these ahadith of the Holy Prophet and Quranic verses. So it inculcates remembrance of Allah Almighty, His fear. Okay, 5 times communication with God. It keeps a person reminded that there is one. Okay, and the person understands that he the person who is regular in performing his prayers, it stops him from committing sin and from the indecency. Okay, so he will stay away from all such type of activities that will cause Allah's displeasure. So prayers which are performed with concentration and sincerity, it develops humility in a person. It makes believer realize that he is dependent and he is helpless in front of Allah Almighty, his creator, and therefore he needs to submit himself before him, and he has to submit his and he has to ignore his wishes and evil temptations in front of Allah Almighty. It also makes person clean and pure physically and also spiritually, because by performing wudu, ablution, the person becomes physically clean and pure. Okay, and also it makes him morally and spiritually purified, because it teach self-control in a person against the evil temptation and just restrain a person from the indecencies and all kinds of the evil from the Prophet, as the Holy Prophet peace be upon him said that the prayers which are performed, those who pray 5 times a day is like their resemblance is like with the one who washes his body 5 times a day in a stream, okay, flowing in or passing in front of his house. Okay, prophet ने example बताई ना कि the similitude and the resemblance of 5 prayer is like the streaming river passing by the gate of one of you, in which he takes a bath 5 times daily. He asked that whether there will be any dirt on his body, and when he received the reply in negative, that he said that the same is the resemblance of 5 daily prayers, that the one who perform these prayers 5 times a day becomes clean and pure from sins. So prayer, it's a source of purification, cleanliness, physically, morally, spiritually, and prayer are further meant to seek help as well as the guidance from Allah Almighty. Fine. So this quest of help and guidance is linked up in 5 daily prayer, that the Muslim in the form of following the prayer, we recite Surah Fatih in every unit of the prayer, and we ask and we seek his guidance, we seek his help from Allah. You we worship, your aid we seek, show us the straight path, that we repeat again and again in our prayer. Okay, so prayer, it also inculcate in a person patience, okay, contentment, and these qualities prove to be a source of great strength in facing the hardship, in facing difficulties against the evil forces, evil temptations. Okay, performing Salat, it paves the way for forgiveness of the sins committed by a man from one prayer to another prayer, or from one Friday to another Friday. These are the source of gaining Allah's forgiveness, His help and support. That's all about the benefits of prayer, which are some of which are related to individual, and some of these are related to the communal benefits. Prayer, whether obligatory, whether farz or nafil, there are actually 3 types of prayer. Prayer which has fixed timings and fixed form, okay, they are regular prayers. Some of the prayers are, they don't have any, they have the fixed form but they don't have any fixed time, they are nafil prayer. And there is a third type of prayer which is of no fixed time and no fixed form, that is dua or supplication. Okay, the word prayer is used for all these 3 types of prayer, whether fard or obligatory, whether नफल, और whether it is related to दुआ. ठीक है, तो तीनों के लिए ये टर्म यूज़ होती है, तो आपको अंडरस्टैंड करना चाहिए कि जैसे बिकन हाउस का जो मेन हेड ऑफिस का जो पेपर था उसके अंदर यही पूछा हुआ था कि व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ प्रेयर. ठीक है, तो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ प्रेयर दैट मुस्लिम दे परफॉर्म इन देयर लाइफ, सम ऑफ दीज आर ऑब्लिगेटरी and some of these are nafal and some of are which are, yes, okay, so this is how we have to describe that these are the different types of prayer. So whether prayer obligatory or nafal or any other prayer, we have to, we it requires some preparation and some that are to be fulfilled before the performance. The first and the most important thing is the cleanliness, purification. प्योरिफिकेशन का अलग से भी 10 मार्क का सवाल आ सकता है आपके पास. ठीक है, व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट मेथड्स ऑफ प्योरिफिकेशन. ठीक है, एंड हाउ मुस्लिम दे कैन अटेन purification in how they can purify themselves. So you can describe that what are the different types of impurities, and Islam laid so much importance to the purification and the cleanliness. Here you can quote the verses of Quran and ahadith of the Holy Prophet peace upon him about cleanliness and the purification. that Allah loves those who keep themselves clean and pure. Quranic verse. And in the same way, there is a hadith of the Holy Prophet, purification is the half of faith. Okay, cleanliness is the key to prayer. It is the key for prayer. Okay. Importance of cleanliness, because Allah not accepts any prayer without cleanliness and purification. And you can mention that there are three different types of purification depending on the person's condition. If the person is in a greater impurity, he has to take bath, which is known as full body wash, which is known as ghusl. Washing the complete body and getting yourself completely clean and pure, it is known as bath. Okay. Then we have to describe that how bath is to be performed. That in the we already had mentioned that it depends on the person's condition. It's on the major impurity. You can describe it in your answer. You can further describe your answer by saying that first the person has to remove the impurity from his body. Okay, should perform wudu first, and has he has to perform ghusl and to pour water on his entire body. There are three things obligatory in ghusl. ठीक है, आपको वुजू हो, गसल हो, तयम्मुम हो, उनके फ़राइज़ और उनका मेथड दोनों पता होने चाहिए. What are the फ़राइज़? What are the obligatory acts of ghusl? There are three obligatory acts of ghusl. Okay, the first one is to rinse your mouth. Okay, to rinse your mouth, to gargle, and so in such a way that water should reach the throat if the person is not in a state of uh, he's not observing fast. Then sniffing water into the nostrils. And the third thing, which is obligatory, is to pour water on your entire body so that no part of your body will remain dry. These are the obligatory acts of ghusl. ठीक है, ghusl के तीन फराइज हमने डिस्कस कर दिए यहाँ पे. And then we can mention that if the person, you can mention the complete and desirable method of ghusl also in your answer. डिटेल में उसको डिस्क्राइब भी कर सकते हो अपने आंसर के अंदर यहाँ पे. You have to mention that if the person is not in a greater impurity, if the person is in a minor impurity, he should perform wuzu, okay, which is known as ablution. Ablution से related आप वर्ड्स कोट करेंगे. ठीक है, वर्ड्स कोट करने के लिए आपको बताना है कि ओ यू बिलीव व्हेन यू स्टैंड फॉर प्रेयर, wash your face and your hands up to your elbows, rub your head with the wet hand and wash your feet up to your ankles. ठीक है, उसको डिस्क्राइब करो, पहले वर्ड्स कोट करो, फिर बताओ कि अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस वर्ड्स फोर थिंग्स आर ऑब्लिगेटरी इन वुजू. ठीक है, ऑब्लिगेटरी थिंग्स आर फोर, चार चीज़ें फ़र्ज हैं. ठीक है, वर्ड्स फर्ज को बताओगे, फर्ज को बताने के बाद बताओगे कि व्हाट इज़ द मेथड ऑफ एवोल्यूशन. ठीक है, व्हाट इज़ द मेथड ऑफ एवोल्यूशन, कंप्लीट मेथड ऑफ एवोल्यूशन को डिस्क्राइब कर दोगे आंसर के अंदर. ठीक है, डिस्क्राइब करना है. आप बताएंगे कि मेथड इज़ ये है कि फर्स्ट दे हैव टू make the intention of purification, that they are performing wuzu for with the intention of purification. Then wash your hands up to your wrist. Then you can write about that. Brush your teeth, rinse water into your mouth, and performing miswak. And you can quote a hadith of the Holy Prophet peace upon him related to these things which are to be performed and the way wuzu is to be performed. So first of all, make the intention of performing ablution. Recite Tasmiyah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wash first right both your hands up to your wrist. Rinse your mouth thrice. Brush your teeth. Take some water in the right hand. Sniff it into your nostrils thrice in, and then clean them with the little finger of your left hand. Wash the whole face thrice, okay, with both of your hands, and you have to describe the dimension of the area of the that is to be washed. It is from the forehead till below the chin, and from one earlobe to another earlobe. Then wash thrice up to your hands or up to your elbows, first the right and then the left arm. With the wet hand, we have to wipe the head from the front to the back, and we can pass the back of our wet hand over the neck, okay, of the neck. This is known as masa. Okay, rubbing your wet hand on your head is known as masa. Then clear the inner side of the ear with the forefinger and then the outer with the thumbs. Wash first the right foot and then the left foot, okay, up to your ankles. This is how the wudu should be performed. You can further describe that it should be performed facing Qibla, Okay, performing miswak and other things are also required in our religion. Must know that what are the things which make your wuzu null and void. ठीक है, briefly थोड़ा सा उसको describe भी किया जा सकता है. And if the person is unable to use water or water is not available, then in this case he should perform dry ablution, which is known as tayammum. Here you can quote the words of tayammum also, that if you are on a journey or you find no water, okay, then clean yourself, okay, rub your face and your hands with the clean earth, and okay, clean yourself with it. That is the verse that could be quoted in your answer about the dry ablution. So in case the water is not available, the dry ablution should be performed. Things which makes your wuzu or your tayammum wide are, you can describe some of these things. We talked about ghusl, we talked about some other things. Tayammum is, there is a verse that if you are ill or you are on a journey, okay, what you can mention over in your answer, if you are ill or on a journey and you find no water, then go to the clean earth soil and rub your face and hands with it therewith. This is what you have to mention. इसके अंदर तयम्मुम का मेथड भी आ गया. Okay, method of tayammum is to first recite, make the intention. Okay, recite tasmiya. I intend to make tayammum with the object. Okay, with the intention to remove impurity and acquiring the purity. First, put both your hands lightly on a clean and pure earth or a sand or something made up of earth. There is not necessary that there should be dust on it. Okay, so you can mention in your answer that how they have to put it both their hands on it, then rub their face, then again put their hands on the, okay, again they have to put their hands, okay, on the earth or something made up of earth, and then they should rub both their arms. Okay, I hope it's better now. This is the method of dry ablution. Okay, tayammum. The conditions for the dry ablution are unavailability of water, okay, for the wet ablution for wuzu, or the lack of awareness of the location where water is available. Okay, the person is traveling and he is not aware that where the water is available, and suffering from such an ailment or injury which prevents a person from using water, okay, for washing, then it can intensify his illness. In that case, the person also is allowed to perform dry ablution. And or danger of being killed or danger of the enemy, it also relieves the person from performing wet ablution, and the person can perform a dry ablution. ठीक है, पानी ऐसी जगह है कि वहाँ कोई harmful animal है या कोई इस तरह का कोई threat है, तो in that case the person is allowed to perform dry ablution. ठीक है, मेथड आपको बता दिया कि फर्स्ट रिसाइटिंग बिस्मिल्लाह दसमिया, देन मेकिंग द इंटेंशन, placing both the hands for a moment on the object which is used for performing tayammum, then strike the hands to blow off the extra dirt from your hands. ठीक है, एक्स्ट्रा चीज़ों को हटा के एक्स्ट्रा डर्ट को ब्लो कर दें, and then wipe both your hands on your face in a manner that no part remains untouched. Then again place both the hands for a moment on the object which is to be used for performing tayammum. Then strike both the hands, jerk both the hands, and then rub it on your hands up to your elbows. This is the complete method and detailed steps of the tayammum. Then conditions which are required for the performance of prayer. Okay, things which are required. Number one thing is the cleanliness and the purification. ठीक है, cleanliness को आप बहुत डिटेल में डिस्क्राइब तो नहीं करेंगे. Whenever you have to write about what are the things which are required for the which are required to be fulfilled before the performance of prayer, you have to mention के first of all एक brief introduction दे दो prayer का brief introduction देने के बाद you can write about what are the things which are required for the to be fulfilled before the performance of prayer, like cleanliness and purification. ठीक है, Allah loves those who keep themselves clean and pure. Cleanliness is the half of faith, and prayer is cleanliness is the key to prayer, or ablution is the key to prayer. Such type of a hadith could be mentioned in your answer. ठीक है, थोड़ी सी कंडीशंस को डिस्क्राइब कर दें. वुजू का मेथड को थोड़ा सा डिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं अपने आंसर के अंदर. Other than that, ठीक है, purification of body, purification of the place where the person is going to perform his prayer, and the person's dress, okay, that must be clean and pure from all types of impurities. Purification of the clothes, purify your garments, but this verse could be quoted. Purification of the place, okay, the ground or the prayer mat, it must be clean from all types of impurities. Okay, one should also avoid standing in the prayer at a place where there is a filth or a dirt around it, so that he would have some peace of mind and clean. The part of the body that should be properly covered. Satar, you can use the word satar, that satar should be properly covered, and you can describe the satar limit for male and female. For male it is from navel to knees, and for female her entire body should be properly covered except for her hands up to the wrist, top of her feet, and also her face. Okay, there is a hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him. The Prophet, peace upon him, forbade us from praying without wearing a coat or over it, like the body should be properly covered and satar must not be exposed. In the same way, the khimar or the headscarf must be taken by the woman to cover her head, neck. Okay, so this is how these are the clear guidance that has been given by the Prophet, peace upon him. So cleanliness and the purification. Other than that, covering the body parts, satar, covering the satar. Okay, and also the other things which are required is facing the qibla. Facing qibla is also very much important because prayers are to be performed facing the holy Kaaba, direction facing towards the holy Kaaba. Okay, because there is a Quranic verse, it tells us that, oh, you believe when you stand for, oh, sorry, turn then your face towards the sacred mosque, wherever you may be, turn then your face towards it. Okay, wherever you may be, turn then your face towards it. So this verse of the change of Qibla could be mentioned in your answer, which talks about facing Qibla. Facing Qibla is another condition. One more thing is the time of that particular prayer. Here you can develop your answer by describing the times of different obligatory prayers like Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. Okay, because prayers here, you first of all quote the verse that verily prayers have been enjoined on the believers at their fixed hours, at their stated timings. It has been enjoined on the believers at their stated times, at their fixed hours. You can describe that it is to be performed. The time of Fajr is from the breaking of dawn and it remains there till before the sunrise. Zohar starts from the midday, from noon, and then it remains there till the shadow of the object becomes twice of its size. Okay, Asr starts with the ending time of Zohar and ends with the before the sunset. And Maghrib starts from the sunset and it remains there till before the fading of the twilight. And Isha starts with the darkness of the night after the ending time of the Maghrib prayer and it remains there till the breaking of dawn. These are the timings. And here you can also describe that what are the specific timings in which they are not allowed to perform any prayer in which there is sajda. Prayers which are to be which has sajda or the prostration should not be performed at the timings at those timings at three stated timings, that exactly at the sunrise, exactly at the sunset, and also in the midday, exactly in the noon. Okay, mid noon and the sunset. At these three timings, three spans during which believer is not allowed to perform prayer, such prayers in which there is a sajda or the prostration. Fine. That is, these are the things, and along with that, at the end, you can write about the intention, that they have to declare their intention for the performance of prayer, that whether they are going to perform Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, or Isha, whether it is Farz, Sunnah, or Nafal. These intentions should be declared, and it is not necessary to say these that to say the words of intention by your tongue. Only uh, it is sufficient that the person can make his intention in his heart. ठीक है, दिल में जब नियत कर ली तो वो हो गई, जबान से कहना ज़रूरी नहीं है, because Allah knows what is in our heart, because actions are judged by our intentions. Method of prayer, you can describe the method of prayer, and here you have to describe the postures. अच्छा, ये अलग सवाल था जो पहले हमने किया, that was about how do Muslims they prepare for the prayer. उससे पहले हमने बात की importance of prayer and the benefits of prayer for a Muslim and a community. दो अलग अलग बातें होंगी. पहले हमने बात की importance and the benefits. फिर हमने बात की ओवरऑल मेथड्स ऑफ प्योरिफिकेशन एंड क्लीनलीनेस की. तीसरे नंबर पे हमने बात की ओवरऑल दैट हाउ मुस्लिम दे प्रिपेयर देमसेल्फ फॉर द प्रेयर. ठीक है, ये अलग अलग चीज़ें हैं. नाउ द मेथड ऑफ प्रेयर और टू रकत प्रेयर और अ सिंगल रकत प्रेयर का अगर आपसे सवाल पूछा जा रहा है, यू कैन डिस्क्राइब इन योर ओन वर्ड्स, एंड वेन एवर यू विल राइट अबाउट द मेथड ऑफ प्रेयर यू कैन गिव अ ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ प्रेयर एंड द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ प्रेयर इन द फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ. पहले पैराग्राफ में थोड़ा सा बेसिक इंट्रोडक्शन और उसकी इंपॉर्टेंस बता के फिर थोड़ी सी उसकी प्री रिक्विजिट्स बता के कि उसके लिए कंडीशंस क्या हैं. देन यू कैन राइट द मेथड ऑफ प्रेयर कि इट स्टार्ट्स बाय स्टैंडिंग स्ट्रेट. दिस इज नोन एज क़याम. क़याम का जो पोस्चर है, ठीक है, उसको डिस्क्राइब कर दोगे आंसर के अंदर. ठीक है, उसके पोस्टर को डिस्क्राइब कर दो. आई नो देयर इज़ अ लिटिल बिट ग्लिच इन, ठीक है, उसमें थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम आ रही है. डोंट वरी. ठीक है, आई विल शेयर द रिकॉर्डिंग विद यू ऑल्सो. आई हैव नो आइडिया बट रिकॉर्डिंग विल बी वेरी मच फाइन. ठीक है, यू डोंट नीड टू वरी. Okay, it will be fine, it will be better. Okay, so one more thing that you can mention in your answer, that they how they have to they should perform their prayers. Okay, for the performance of prayer you can write about the method of the two rakat prayer. Okay, standing straight, facing the qibla. Okay, and having both the hands on their side. Okay, reciting takbir tahrima, the first takbir. Okay, and where they have to look while they are in the standing position, that they have to look at the place where they have to perform sajda. Okay, so that there should be a complete concentration. They should not look upward or right or left here and there. It has been prohibited. And making the intention of the prayer, and after making the intention they make they start their prayer with takbir tahrima, the first takbir. The opening takbir is known as takbir tahrima, the first takbir, by which they raise their hands up to their ear, and while raising their hand and reciting takbir, ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से then they place their hand, or whatever method that you follow you can write it in your answer. ठीक है, that they fold their hands on their navel or below the navel. Okay, पूरी चीज़ों को describe कर दो. And while they are in standing position, this posture is known as qiyam. And while they are in a posture of qiyam, they recite sana, fatiha, and surah. Okay, before fatiha they recite ta'awuz, tasmiyah, then they recite fatiha, and then the surah. Okay, describe that at least a short surah should be recited. If not a short surah, three short verses could be recited, or one long verse equal to the three short verses could be recited. Recitation of Fatiha is important because according to the hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, he who does not recite Fatiha, his prayer is not complete, or prayer is not complete without the recitation of Fatiha. ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन आप बता दें, पोस्चर्स को डिस्क्राइब कर दें, क़याम को, ठीक है, रुकू को, ठीक है, सजदा को, और रेसिटेशन ऑफ कुरान से रिलेटेड हमने वर्स कोट की. हूएवर डज नॉट रिसाइट फातिहा इन हिज प्रेयर इज़ इनवैलिड. ठीक है, रुकू के पोस्चर को डिस्क्राइब करो, दैट द पर्सनस बैक शुड बी वेरी मच स्ट्रेट पैरेलल टू द ग्राउंड. Okay, his head should neither be bent upward or downward, but it should be in just in between. Recite tasbih of ruku or dua of ruku could be mentioned. It is not necessary to quote the dua or the tasbih that we used to recite or its translation. बस mention इतना कर देना काफ़ी है कि the tasbih of ruku should be recited thrice. Then standing straight is known as comma. After ruku, standing straight is known as comma. There are two prostrations, two sajda in every prayer. ठीक है, तकबीर के साथ उसके आप बताएंगे. They perform two sajdas, and between these two sajdas there is a jalsa. While talking about sajda, you can write about that sajda is performed on these body parts. Okay, made sujud. Okay, place while performing sajda, place your palms flat, lift up your elbows, and none of you should spread out his forearms on the ground. ठीक है, उसके ऊपर उसको ज़मीन के ऊपर टच नहीं किया जाता, बिछाया नहीं जाता. And sajda is performed on both the hands, both the knees, and both feet. They must touch the ground. And in the same way, the forehead and the nose also must touch the ground. And in this is the extreme level of humbleness and humiliation in front of Allah Almighty. And the person should recite tasbih of sajda in this posture. Okay, sajda, there are two sajda, and between these two sajda is known as jalsa or julus. a small sitting. At the end of the prayer, they have to sit, which is known as qada. And while sitting, the person has to perform. He has to recite tahiyya, tashahhud, durood, dua, and at the end they have to say taslim, salam on both sides. ठीक है, सलाम के जरिए से prayer को end किया जाता है. Describe that how these postures it creates humbleness in the person. It is a sign of humility and submission before Allah Almighty. These are the way through which we can express our humility in front of God. Fine. Next important thing about prayer is, as per our syllabus, is the Friday prayer. Okay, for Friday prayer, we must understand that on whom it is obligatory, people who are exempted from it, timings of prayer, method of preparation of prayer, and the method of prayer. So first of all, whenever there is a question about the Friday prayer or the weekly congregational prayers are the Friday prayer, which must be performed in Jame Masjid, okay, where the congregational prayers are performed. So Friday prayers hold special significance in Islam, since Friday it is seen as a holy day for the Muslims in the community, and in fact, it is a kind of a mini Eid day on the weekly basis. All Muslims, male adults who are in a good health, it's obligatory on them to attend the Friday congregation. So because according to the hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, the one who forgoes the Friday prayer needlessly is recorded as a hypocrite in a book which is absolutely safe from any change. The one who ignores this prayer without any reason and without any uh, genuine reason, so he has been written as a hypocrite. So this shows the importance of Friday, and it can be deduced from the verse of the Holy Quran, which is the verse of Surah Juma, Surah Friday, that oh, you believe, when the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, Friday means the day of assembly, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of Allah. Leave of business. Okay, that is best for you if you, but no. That is the detailed verse. This is the verse in the Surah Juma, Surah Friday. So Friday is a day of blessing, and therefore the acts of piety are generously rewarded on this day. Muslims pay due respect to the Friday prayer, and how they did show respect, they take a bath, they dress themselves in the scented clothes before heading for the performance of the Friday congregation. And Prophet peace upon him used to prepare himself in this way, that he used to take bath, and he has recommended Muslims attending the Friday prayer to take a bath and to put on the fresh clothes. Okay, so taking bath on Friday is compulsory for every Muslim who has attained the age of puberty, and also it is one of the way of cleaning oneself, cleaning his teeth with miswak or brush, and using a perfume if available. That has been recommended by the Holy Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him. Because whoever takes bath on Friday purifies himself as much as he can, then he uses his oil or perfume, okay, to he put on oil on his hair and apply perfume on his body, scented himself and his house, then proceeds for the performance of Friday prayer, and does not separate two persons sitting together in the mosque. Like, it is not allowed to sit between the two persons, okay, in a small gap, so that they will not be facing any difficulty. Then prays as much as possible that is written for him, and remains silent while the Imam is delivering the khutbah. His sins in between the present and the last Friday will be forgiven. तो in simple words we can say कि जिसने जुमे के दिन गुसल किया, ठीक है, और अपने आप को प्योरीफाई किया, और फिर अपने आप को परफ्यूम किया, ठीक है, अपने बालों को ऑयल किया, अपने आप को परफ्यूम किया, एंड देन प्रोसीड टुवर्ड्स द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ फ्राइडे प्रेयर, और दो बंदों के बीच में जाके बीच में घुस के नहीं बैठा, उनको सेपरेट नहीं किया इस तरीके से कि दे वर सिटिंग टुगेदर एंड ही जंप्ड ओवर देम, ठीक है, दिस इज़ नॉट अलाउड एंड दिस इज़ नॉट रिकमेंडेड. And then he remained silent while Imam was delivering the sermon, the khutbah, and he performed as much as prayer as he was able to perform, ठीक है, and that was written for him. तो उसके इस जुमे से लेकर पिछले जुमे तक के जो भी गुनाह थे, that will be forgiven. This is the importance of Friday, okay, for the Muslims. Okay, this is the importance of Friday. So importance of Friday congregation for the Muslim community. It is to establish the equality. If खैर हम benefits को end में discuss कर लेंगे. What are the main features of the Friday? We can say that Friday prayers are performed in place of Zohar prayer. Timings are same as that of Zuhr. Okay, there is no qaza of Friday. In case the person misses his Friday, he has to perform Zuhr. So special prayers are performed. They prepare themselves to attend the congregation. Okay, or they follow the Prophet's practice, and it is performed in congregation. And people who are exempted from the performance of Friday prayer are women, children, slaves. Children matlab minors, slave, and those who are very much old or weak to that they could not attend the congregation. So they are exempted, and those who are exempted they must perform Zohar in place of Friday. They must perform Zohar in place of Friday. It is strictly recommended for a Muslim to reach the mosque on time as early as possible because those who reach first they get the reward. They get the highest reward from Allah Almighty. Okay. Recitation of Surah Kahf could also be mentioned, but particularly when we talk about the Friday congregational prayer, we are not talking in general about the day Friday. Okay, we are talking about the particular features of the Friday prayer. So it's better that first talk in detail about the method and the features of the Friday prayer, and then we can write the additional things that clipping the nail, trimming the hair, and other things are also recommended for the performance of Friday. Okay, anyone attending the Friday should take bath. That is a hadith of the Holy Prophet that could be mentioned, and you can further describe the features of Friday that there are two azans and there is a khutbah, and reaching as early as possible, and they should hurry as soon as they hear the first azan. Soon after the arrival in the mosque, they should perform Tahiyyatul Masjid, the two rakat which are performed at the time when the person enters the mosque. Then perform the Sunnah prayers before first. Friday prayers has two azan. The two azans are called. After the first azan, they perform their sunnahs, and after the second azan, khutbah is delivered. Okay, khutbah or sermon. You can use the word sermon. You can use the word khutbah. ठीक है मेंशन करोगे इसमें अंदर ठीक है फर्स्ट अजान इज टू गैदर द पीपल इन द मॉस्क assemble while the second azan is delivered just before the khutbah the Friday sermon. So after the second azan the sermon is delivered by imam and sermon is divided into two parts. ठीक है sermon has two parts. And in the first part ठीक है दोनों के features almost same है. In the first part of the sermon imam glorifies Allah Almighty. He sends blessings on the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he recites some of the Quranic verses, and he recites and he talk about some important matter which is relevant for the Muslim at that time. But in the second part of the khutbah, and between these two khutbahs, he sits for a while. He takes a small pause. Okay, in between these two khutbahs, he take a pause. Okay, he sits for a while, and it is also the time for the acceptance of prayer. Listening khutbah is wajib. Khutbah is sunnah, and listening to khutbah is wajib. And the person is not allowed to speak or to talk while khutbah is being delivered. No conversation or indulgence in any other activities is allowed during the duration of the sermon is being delivered. And in the second part of the khutbah, Imam again starts his sermon with the glorification of Allah Almighty, sending blessings on the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he prays for the general welfare of the Muslim Ummah. After the sermon, Iqamat is called, and they arrange themselves, assemble themselves in rows. Rows are straightened, and gaps are filled, and two rakat are performed in congregation under the leadership of Imam. Yes, you have to give the details of the two khutbahs because sometimes in the paper you have might have seen that they asked that describe the features of the khutbah also in your answer. Okay, so you can mention that two rakat first in which the recitation is made in a loud voice. Okay, मेथड थोड़ा सा डिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं थोड़ा बहुत ठीक है बिकॉज यहाँ पे पूरा मेथड प्रेयर का नहीं आप बस बता दें कि टू रकात परफॉर्म and Imam makes a recitation in a loud voice, and afterwards there is a dua supplication because after the first prayer it is the time of the acceptance of prayer. That is why they are Muslims are recommended to make a prayer, supplicate to Allah Almighty. Then after the completion of prayer they perform their sunnat, okay, nafil prayer, okay, and their individual prayers, and then this is the proper method, and after the prayer they get themselves engaged in their other worldly activities because worldly activities are allowed after the performance of Friday. Okay, that's about the Friday congregational prayer. Other than beside the Friday congregational prayer, we have the other topic which are the Eid prayer. ओके डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज. देखो पेपर में कभी आईडी लिखा होता है इसी तरीके से, कहीं पे ईद लिखा होता है, कोई इसको ईद पढ़ता है, कोई आईडी पढ़ता है. Many times you get confused कि सर ये कौन सी prayer है. Actually it is Eid, long I sound है, तो Eid, it is pronounced Eid prayer, और you can they can write with EID, तो don't get confused. पेपर में जब क्वेश्चन आया था, मॉक में भी आ जाता है sometime, स्टूडेंट कंफ्यूज होते हैं कि ये क्या है सर, कि किस प्रेयर के बारे में है. So there are two Eid prayers. There are two festivals for the Muslims in a year. One is Eid al-Fitr and the second one is Eid al-Adha. Okay. कंडीशंस आर सेम. ठीक है, थोड़ा सा अब डिस्क्राइब कर देंगे दोनों में कि ईद उल फितर इज सेलिब्रेटेड विद अ ग्रेट rejoicing by the Muslim globally on the 1st of Shawwal with the end of the month of Ramzan, and it is the day of the religious celebration determined by the Islam, since it is a day of special happiness after the completion of one of the basic obligation fasting. Fasting के फरीज़ा है ना, obligation है, तो उसके बाद एक that is the time of happiness that Allah has relieved them from the restriction now, and now they can celebrate it with happiness and great joy. In Muslim, they dress themselves in their best clothes, meet their friends and relatives. Special prayers are performed, and the second Eid is performed on. It is celebrated on the 10th of Zilhaj, and उसको आप describe करेंगे कि it is the on the occasion of Eid al-Adha, which was on 10th of Zilhaj. Muslim also perform sacrifice of the animal, which is wajib, which is obligatory. So Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha prayers are wajib, they are obligatory on all Muslims, that they have to perform special prayers. Mention that conditions are same as that of Friday. सेम नहीं लिख देंगे, आप डिस्क्राइब करेंगे पूरा कि दोनों की वो जो हमने वहाँ पे कंडीशंस डिस्क्राइब कर दी, किन के ऊपर ऑब्लिगेटरी है, कौन एग्जेम्प्टेड है. टाइमिंग्स को डिस्क्राइब करो कि टाइमिंग्स ऑफ ईद प्रेयर. टाइम ईद प्रेयर स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम सनराइज. Eid prayers are performed from sunrise. It can be performed after sunrise, and the time ends it and the time remains there till before the sun starts to decline. ठीक है, मिड डे से पहले पहले, सन के डिक्लाइनिंग स्टार्ट होने से पहले पहले होता है. इट इज it is not the replacement of any other prayer, so it is obligatory. There is no replacement. The one who missed has missed it. There is no qada for this prayer. And preparation, okay, the way the Prophet peace upon him prepared himself for these prayers, and since it's a time of to express gratitude to Allah Almighty for His blessings, that Allah has blessed them with a sacred month of Ramzan, during which they had the opportunity of multiplying the rewards of their good deeds so many times. Uh, so Muslims, they also thank Allah Almighty for helping them to perform their religious obligation efficiently during the month. So, and also Eid al-Adha prayer is important because without offering them, the ritual of sacrifice cannot be performed. Because Prophet said that who uh, is not performing the sacrifice should not come near to our places of worship, take a place of prayer. So women and children, they have not been ordered to participate in the these congregational prayer. They are exempted. It is recommended that Eid al-Adha prayer to be performed a little bit earlier as compared to the Eid al-Fitr, because they have to perform their sacrifice. While going for Eid al-Fitr prayer, it is recommended that they should take and eat some sweet. Prophet used to eat dates usually in odd number. He would go from a different way and return from a different way, because on the day, each day, Allah sends the angels on the every corner of the street, noting down the names of the people going for the performance of Eid prayer. That was his practice. Takbirat are recited. Takbirat. Okay, use the word takbirat. Okay, glorification of Allah Almighty. Takbirat are recited in while going and returning from Eid prayers. In Eid al-Fitr, it is recited in a low voice, while in Eid al-Adha, it is recited loudly. And even after the performance of first prayer, they are recited loudly. Describe the method of prayer. That two rakat are performed in congregation, but there are no azan and no iqamat. Okay, first, the two rakat prayers are performed in congregation with extra takbirs. Identify the number of extra takbirs. Usually, here in we follow the 6 extra takbirs in our Eid prayers. 3 in the first unit and 3 in the second unit, second rakat. आप बताएंगे कि फर्स्ट रकत में बिफोर द रेसिटेशन ऑफ सूरह फातिहा 3 extra takbīrs are recited, and they raise their hands up to their ears and they lower down their hands. तो पहली रकत में सूरह फातिहा के स्टार्ट से पहले, एंड इन द सेकंड रकत आफ्टर द कंप्लीशन ऑफ सूरा बिफोर गोइंग टू रुकू, जब तिलावत हो गई, रेसिटेशन कंप्लीट हो गई, रुकू में जाने से पहले they have to recite three extra takbeers in which they raise their hands up to their ear and they lower them down. These are the six extra takbir. Khutbah is after the prayer. Okay, khutbah is done after the Eid prayer. So there are some similarities and there are some differences between these two prayers. Okay, so you can identify the similarity and the difference between these two prayers. That timings are different. Okay, and in the same way there is no azan and iqamat in the Eid prayer. Okay, khutbah is in Friday, khutbah is before the prayer, while in Eid, khutbah is after the prayer. There is no qaza for the Eid prayer, while there is a replacement for the Friday prayer. Such type of differences could be identified by you. ठीक है, इस तरीके से डिफरेंस बताया जा सकता है. That's about the. You can describe that the khutbah is in Eid al-Fitr. Imam particularly talks about the importance of Sadaqat al-Fitr. Okay, the Fitr, the sadaqah that is given before the performance of Eid prayer. And while in Eid al-Adha, Imam talks about the importance of sacrifice. Okay, udhiyah, sacrifice, recitation, takbirat. Okay, this is what that you can identify. Intention की बात की जा सकती है, तकबीरात की बात की जा सकती है अपने आंसर के अंदर. Delayed prayer is also the part of our syllabus. Okay, B part question could be asked that how it is a blessing and a source of mercy from Allah Almighty. Although prayers are to be performed at their fixed timings, but in case the person has missed his prayer due to certain reason, he has to perform immediately as soon as possible, because there is no expiation and there is no compensation of a prayer except for the prayer itself. Quran has and Allah has commanded Muslims that guard strictly your prayers, protect and of these obligatory prayers and perform these prayers at their stated timings. And they must perform and be punctual in their prayers. Then it should be performed in congregation. There is no explanation लिखा हुआ है, explanation नहीं है. There is no expiation for prayer except the prayer itself. There is no expiation of a prayer except the prayer itself. Okay, so it's a blessing that Allah is even accepting it even the time has been passed. There is no penalty, there is no extra charge that we have to pay. Okay, we only have to offer our furs if we have missed our prayer, and along with the furs we also have to perform our witr prayer also. If anyone forgets a prayer, he should pray that prayer when he remembers it. There is no compensation except to pray the same. The first units of the missed prayer should be performed, okay, after the regular time has been passed. If the regular time has passed, in order to compensate the prayer in the light of the above hadith, and one should perform the missed prayer. Okay, compensating delayed prayer, one should only offer first. Whether units of the missed prayer also should be performed. Sunnah and nawafil will be left and they will be dropped. Okay. Azan is the call to prayer, and system of Azan was introduced by the Holy Prophet peace upon him in the first year of Hijrah. So the origin of Azan can be traced back to the life of the Holy Prophet peace upon him. Abdullah bin Zayd Ansari and Umar, they had in their dream the words of Azan. Okay, and ultimately the Muslims adopted this method, and Bilal was appointed as the first Muazzin. What are the words of Azan? They are the glorification of Allah Almighty. They are the testification, Shahada, testifying that Ashadu Allah ilaha illallah, that I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. And again, the second part of the Shahada, again, that I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. It's the call to prayer, that come to prayer and come to the success. Okay, these two words, they are actually the call to prayer. Okay, and the one who announce and calls azan would have the too much reward and too much in the hereafter. Such person will be rewarded in the hereafter. And after the azan, the prayers are accepted, and the time between azan and iqamat is also the time for the acceptance of prayer. And azan is actually the announcement of the that to call the people for the performance of congregational prayers. It's a reminder of the to the Muslim 5 times a day that they have to discharge their obligatory duty towards Allah Almighty, so that they will not forget it in the daily activities. Okay, that they will proceed towards the mosque to perform these prayers in congregation. So this is the importance of azan, and numerous traditions of the Holy Prophet peace upon him are there. On one occasion, he said that Muslims will have the longest neck on the day of judgment, and will the most exalted in the status. Fine. That's about the azan. Iqamat are the words of azan which are recited just before the start of prayer, except there is a specific statement, additional statement which is to be said that the prayer is begun. The prayer has begun. So while Iqamat is being called, they assemble themselves in the rows. The rows are straightened, and there is a little bit difference कि अजान थोड़ा सा slow pace में होती है, आस्ता होती है, बहुत loud होती है, while इकामत is a little bit, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा normal pace और voice उसमें, तो it is said briskly, तेजी में की जाती है. एक टॉपिक हमारे पास प्लेस ऑफ प्रेयर भी है. प्लेस ऑफ प्रेयर मीन्स मॉस्क. तो इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ मॉस्क इन, ठीक है, व्हाट इज द इम्पोर्टेंस कि मॉस्क इट हैज़ अ इट्स अ फोकल प्लेस एंड इट्स अ मेन, ठीक है, सेंटर कह सकते हैं कि मॉस्क ऑक्यूपाई द रिलीजियस सिग्निफिकेंस इन इस्लाम एंड दे आर हेल्ड इन हाई स्टीम बाय द मुस्लिम्स ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड. So they are the religious place of worship. Now they are the place where Muslims they devote themselves for the worship of Allah Almighty. ठीक है, तो here they underwent spiritual and moral development. They gather in the mosque 5 times a day to perform the mandatory and obligatory prayers. ठीक है, सलात नमाज परफॉर्म करने के लिए. So mosque is a place where Muslims can be united. They can be gathered at one place. It's a place of social gathering and the communal gathering. It promotes brotherhood, equality. Okay, and it was not. It is not only the place of worship that during because during the lifetime of the Holy Prophet peace upon him, these mosques they serve different purpose. Okay, like it was a place of assembly, it was a place of community gathering, it was a place of learning, educational institute was there, it was a parliament, it was a court where prophet peace upon him would dispense justice among in different disputes in different matters. So it provided a wonderful opportunity to Muslims to get to know their Muslim brother better. They develop understanding of their grievances, okay, and their problems. So Muslims and particularly people and particularly Muslims they meet each other at one place to purify themselves 5 times a day for a noble cause. So it हम कह सकते हैं कि it promotes brotherhood. It is a place where Allah's name is to be raised and remembered, to glorify Allah Almighty in the morning and in the evening. And the best places on the earth are the mosques, and the worst places of the on the earth are the market, according to the hadith of the Holy Prophet peace be upon him. So a strong sense of equality is also established when people from different social status they stand together, okay, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, okay, in the form of an organized congregation. Okay, it shows that mankind, that no matter what caste or creed they belong, they are all equal in the sight of Allah Almighty, except for taqwa and piety. Therefore, mosques make it possible for a Muslim community to achieve a greater solidarity and unification on daily basis. So Muslims are required to abstain from gossiping of the worldly matters within the premises of the mosque, because it is a place where they are encouraged to spread the teachings of Islam. Okay, mosques are the place of educational. It is an educational center where Muslims are enlightened with the true teachings of their religion, okay, and how they can implement these teaching in their practical life. Like Friday sermons are the ideal example of their valuable teachings, okay, which are important to give spiritual life to the dead souls of the Muslim community. Mosques, okay, they are the place where Muslim they have to show some respect. Okay, they should be in a state of cleanliness and the purity. And many times we see that many other social activities are also held in the mosque, like nikah ceremony, and the other special events are also celebrated in the mosque. So mosque it serves different purpose. Importance of performing the prayer in congregation in the mosque, it is very much important for an individual that cannot be sidelined. The Prophet peace upon him said that when a person performs his ablution properly and proceeds towards the mosque with the intention of performing the prayers in congregation, he does not take a step without being raised in rank for it. एक कदम उठाता है तो उसका एक रैंक बढ़ता है, तो his rank is raised, okay, and having a sin forgiven till he reaches the mosque. It is reported to have, he said, उन्होंने क्या कहा, the reward of a salat in congregation is 27 times superior in degree than that of a salat which is performed alone. That is the importance of the mosque in the Muslim community. अब ठीक है, अपने अपने आंसर में बेनिफिट्स को हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं आपके साथ डिटेल में. यू हैव दिस फाइल विद यू. यू कैन, इफ़ यू वांट टू प्रिपेयर द बेनिफिट्स इन डिटेल, यू कैन गो थ्रू दीज पेजेस. ठीक है, इसमें अंदर आपको और डिटेल में कुछ बेनिफिट्स मिल जाएंगे. उसके बाद हमारे पास फिर कुछ क्वेश्चंस आ जाएंगे एट द एंड. कम्युनल बेनिफिट्स भी हैं, फिर आगे फास्टिंग का टॉपिक है. तो वी विल डिस्कस द टॉपिक ऑफ फास्टिंग इन आवर next class. I hope these things are clear. There were some problems